Hey, I'm Stephanie, and with the holidays right around the corner, there are a lot of tempting new makeup releases to discuss. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we jump in, let me address the elephant in the room, my shoulder contraption. This is a heating pad that I bought this morning because I have been in excruciating pain for the past week, one of the many wonderful symptoms of perimenopause. But here's why the shoulder is relevant for today's makeup discussion. A couple of years ago, if I had been feeling really rotten like I have these past few weeks, I would have tried to soothe myself with retail therapy. Buy a beautiful new eyeshadow palette for a bit of distraction with a side of dopamine. But as fun as retail therapy can feel in the moment, it never actually solves anything. A new palette wouldn't fix my shoulder or the fluctuating hormones that are causing this pain. It would just be a distraction. And it wouldn't be long before I would need another distraction. So I've just come to realize that I don't want to be in that cycle anymore. I'd rather save that time and money for things that will potentially solve my problems instead of just distracting me from them. So instead of new makeup, I bought this sexy heating pad. When I create these new Makeup Madness episodes, it's not because I think there's anything wrong with buying new makeup. It's because I just don't want new things to distract me from any of the beautiful makeup that I already own. I want my shopping, when I do it, to be intentional, to actually bring joy for its own sake instead of being just a band-aid for something else. So let's talk about what we're actually here for, the makeup. If you notice me looking off camera at all, that's just because that's where I have all the releases pulled up so that I can look at them along with you. And the first thing that I saw that caught my eye was the Danessa Myricks Lightwork 7 Freedom Palette. When I first heard this was coming out, the way people were talking about it, it sounded like it was going to be a true spicy neutrals palette. So a very basic neutral wearable palette with some special something shades. And I was very scared of that because I don't typically purchase limited edition items. I have a general rule against purchasing them just because it makes my life so much calmer in general. So I was like, oh no, if this is the spicy neutrals palette, am I going to regret it when it comes out that I'm not going to be able to get it? And then it came out in the Freedom palette format where you can take the individual palettes out and stack them. You can take just the shadows that you want and leave the other ones at home. It's a very unique storage concept and transportation concept, and I really like that. But just because I like the format of a palette doesn't mean I'll get a lot of wear out of it. So I would have to look at it from that perspective. So let's see what the description says. A magnetic, stackable, all-over face palette blending iconic pigments with everyday artistry and wearability. Wearability. This palette does look extremely wearable to me. And I really, really like it, especially when I look at the first two groups of 6. Those shades look really earthy. The ones in the middle, they're a little bit cooler, but they also have something kind of earthy and, I don't know, with maybe a little bit of gray mixed in, which I like because they're more muted colors. But then we get to that third sextet there with the blues in it. And that's where this palette kind of loses me. Because that cobalt blue is a beautiful color, and sometimes I do wear it as like a liner, but shades like that I feel like are just a little bit too intense for my coloring, so I just don't tend to use them very often. So right there, the cobalt blue is saying not for me. Then there's the lighter blue though up top. That is much more my thing. It looks like it goes from like a light blue and then fades into a lilac, which is gorgeous, and it looks like it has translucency to it. Like it's not a fully opaque foiled shadow, and that kind of thing intrigues me, but then I think, how often do I really wear blue? Not often. So that shade's out. Then we have this cool gray color. And although I do sometimes wear gray, I tend to like the grays that lean just a little warmer. And this just doesn't do that. So I don't think I get much use out of it. And the black shade, although I do use black shades as liners and sometimes to darken up things, I don't tend to wear them all that much. So a black in a palette isn't make or break for me. And in this case, I just feel like this last group of 6 shadows really isn't speaking to me because it's a little bit too cool for my liking, which means only 2/3 of the palette are speaking to me. And automatically when I look at this, let's see, how much is it? $128 US. That's a lot of money for only 12 shades. So I think actually my makeup monster is okay with me leaving this one behind because even she isn't getting all that excited about the blue section of that palette. So I think I'm safe from this one. Had she not had that cool sextet in there though, she might have had me. The second palette that caught my eye and my heart was the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Nature Palette. The instant I saw this one, I just fell in love with it. I lost my mind. I went to the website. I put it in my cart. And luckily, I am a horrible cart mother because I abandoned all of my cart babies and I have managed to abandon this one too. But only after having a 2-day-long swatch fest of all of my eyeshadows trying to recreate this palette. And I have to say, I was able to dupe every single one of these shadows in my collection several times over. The one that was a little bit tricky for me was that it looks like a muted burgundy, but now that I've seen more videos about it, it's not that muted. In the pictures on the website, it looks like a very muted burgundy, but it ends up being more intense in real life, and that's what I already have. So even though I initially didn't think I could dupe the burgundy, it turns out I have better matches for me personally in my own collection. So I was able to dupe this, but I would usually have to get out like several different palettes in order to dupe it. So I was like, I want to see if I can make a portable version of this palette, and I managed to do so. It's right here. It is like my customized version of the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. And if you want to see how I built it, I have a video about it that I'll link here and in the show notes. And yes, I know, technically, according to my own rules, I'm not allowed to purchase the Ethereal Eyes Nature palette because it's limited edition. But I have to say that 2-day-long swatch fest really showed me how much fun I could have with my own stuff. And then once I made my own custom palette with burgundies that probably suit me better than that one would anyway, it just made me realize I don't actually want it either. So it actually makes it easy to say no to it. And then I started hearing the reviews coming in, and a lot of people say that they don't like it because the formula has changed. It's not like the previous Ethereal Eyes palettes. Of course, that's always relative. People like certain formulas and don't like others. It's a very personal thing. And some people really didn't like the original Ethereal Eyes palette. So maybe those people might like this new version. I don't know. But all I know is that I'm not even actually curious anymore. So thank goodness I had my wits about me, and I remembered I could just swatch my own stuff, and I was able to dupe it. And just when I thought I was feeling completely sane again after that Makeup by Mario roller coaster, I got an email from Victoria Beckham Beauty announcing their new eye wardrobe palette in the shade Cocoa. And oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. It's got these warm browns. It's got like a beige in there that looks gorgeous. Really, this palette is a neutral palette, which is my thing. I am a beige babe. If I see beige somewhere, I'm going to want it. And so the instant I saw this, I wanted to try it, especially because I have never tried anything from Victoria Beckham Beauty before, and I want to. I really do. There are so many things from this brand that I've been curious about for years, and I have managed to maintain my self-control long enough to not try anything, but this Cocoa palette really tempted me until I reminded myself that it is just dirt pressed into tiny little pans. And even though it does have a beige in there, when I started looking at reviews of it, I realized that that warm mid-tone brown is probably a little bit too warm for me. I like things to lean a little bit warm, but I am a neutral girl. I lean just ever so slightly golden, so I'm on the warm-ish side, but if something's too warm, then all of a sudden it can look orange on me, and I feel like that's what that brown would do. And once I started realizing that about the palette, it had less of a siren song, so I'm over this one too, but it did have me for a minute there. Then I saw the Chanel Nuit Astrale, and I thought, wow, is that a pretty palette? And I honestly don't know exactly why it's calling to me as much as it is, because it is cooler toned, and I don't tend to wear many cooler tones. And you know what I think it is? I think it's that one shade at the top left-hand side of the palette, because it looks like it's like a warm taupey silver. Like it doesn't have as much coolness in it as the other shades. And I think that's the one thing that's drawing my eye to this palette. All of them look gorgeous, every single shade in here. But I think there's only one in here for me. And to only have one shade out of 4 be calling my name, that made this one a no for me. Then it became a little bit quiet in these parts, and I thought maybe I was over the holiday releases, but it turns out I just wasn't paying attention to any sort of social media of any sort. But then Lisa Eldridge posted her video about her holiday sets. She's got a couple of holiday sets with like lip combinations with a lipstick and a lip liner, but then she has the Kitten Eye Twin Set and Pearls with one of her Liquid Lyrics eyeshadows, which is something I've wanted to try for a long time, her mascara, which so many people recommended to me, and the Kitten Flick liner, which a lot of people have also recommended to me. And so I've been wanting to try those things, but here's what's saving me here. I have wanted to try her mascara and the Kitten Flick in brown. And the ones in the set are in black. I think it makes sense to do it in black because I think that's what most people wear. But with my coloring, I find it's just easier to wear things in brown. So that saved me. I still do want to try one of her Liquid Lyrics shades at some point, but I just can't justify it at the moment because I already have so many liquid shadows that I want to use up. And they do tend to expire more quickly than powder eyeshadows. So I never want to have too many liquid eyeshadows at one time. So this one, unfortunately, is still out to me right now. But I'd really have to say, I love the collaboration that she did with the artist to do all the artwork for these sets because it really is cool. The next release that instantly made it into my cart the second I saw it, but was then later abandoned once I came to my senses, was from Charlotte Tilbury, and it was her Hollywood Instant Look in a Palette, the Dreamy Bronzed Beauty version. She came out with two colorways of this, one for lighter skin and one for darker skin, it looks like. The lighter one is called Pretty Glowing Beauty, and that one looks really, really light, like for super fair people. I don't even think this would show up on me. And the bronzer looks pretty orange in here, actually. But the Dreamy Bronzed Beauty one, that looks like something I would wear. And so I just really, really wanted to add this to my cart and buy it because I have been such a fan of this format of hers. She used to release them a couple of times a year. And so I had bought a bunch of them previously. I think I have 4 because they were all in different colorways and they're so convenient for travel because you have everything you need for your face in one palette. So I always really liked these. And I thought she stopped making them because we haven't seen them in, I don't think, 4 years now. So I thought she gave up on this format, but no, she brought it back. So I was like, she brought back my favorite format? Well, then I have to buy it. But why? Why do I have to buy it just because it's my favorite format? If it's my favorite format and I already own it, then I can just use what I have. And so that's actually what I did. My October makeup capsule this month is inspired by holiday releases that I'm trying to talk myself out of. And so the whole entire bag is filled with just stuff from my own collection that I'm trying to use to prove to myself that I don't necessarily need to shop for new stuff to scratch that itch. And one of the palettes that made it in there was this Instant Look in a Palette. This is the Beauty Glow version, and I have been so happy using this all month. I get so many compliments every single time I wear this. It's really funny. So I'm really enjoying the compliments, but I'm also enjoying wearing it just because I think the colors really suit me. And it just goes to show that I already have what I need. It's right here and I'm enjoying it immensely. So if I were to get this palette, yes, it has a different colorway, which, might be useful, but to be honest, I think it would just detract from the palettes that I already have. So I think it's smarter for me just to let this one pass into oblivion, especially because this is also a limited edition release. But then another fact that made it easier for me to say no was the fact that it sounds like the glowy blush is a new formula. And from what I've heard, it's so shiny that it emphasizes texture. And I do have texture on my cheeks, so I'm not interested in a glowy blush that emphasizes texture. So that was one other thing that made me glad I didn't just buy it impulsively when I had wanted it initially. If you'd like to see how I put together that makeup capsule that included this and so many other really nice goodies, I'll link it for you here and in the show notes. And I'll also be posting a Get Ready With Me with that bag, so if you'd like to see that, make sure you subscribe. This next release isn't necessarily all that new, but it is catching my eye every time I see it in my feed, and that is the new Neutral palette from Vanngo. This one, once again, is appealing to the beige babe in me, and it feels like it is more neutral than that Victoria Beckham palette. And I'm curious about it because it's a brand I've never tried. I've never even been able to see it in person. And I've just seen so many people talking about it and saying so many wonderful things about it. And so it makes me want to try it. And I just have to realize that there's always going to be something new that I want to try. And if I chase every single one, it's never going to end. I'm just going to buy so much that I'm not going to have time to enjoy any of it. So I am saying no to this one for now because I can. But the good thing is that this is a permanent release. So it's going to be around for probably a good long while. And I don't have to feel any pressure about buying this during the holidays. So at least there's that. It also looks like Urban Decay is releasing another one of their Moondust palettes. The Moondust shadows are so nice. And so the second I saw it, it caught my eye, but it wasn't necessarily screaming my name. And I think it's just because of the colors. When I look at the descriptions, it's Cosmic Quartz is white and silver shimmer, which is okay, but I feel like I have white and silver shimmers that I could just use and combine. The next shade is called Solar Drip, and it's an ivory and red shimmer. That sounds more interesting to me, but the ivory is usually a little bit bright for me. I can't wear a whole lot of like really bright colors on my eye because I feel like that any extremes on me look a little bit weird. It's not muted enough. Then we have Starry Haze, which is a lilac haze with silver pearls. That sounds gorgeous, but it also sounds a little bit cool toned for me. And then Rock Solid, magenta and lilac shimmer. Anything magenta is usually too much for me too. So this one is really pretty looking, especially when I look at the swatches on the eyes. That's actually a look I feel like I could wear. But I'm not going to look at it for too long because it's a limited edition. Then I saw this little baby palette from Natasha Denona. She's calling it the Essential Eye Duo, and it consists of just 2 shadows. Mia is the sparkling Wet Effect Icy Pink shade from the I Need a Nude palette, which I have. And then Transition is a matte light medium nude shade from the Glam palette, which I also have. So I have both of these shades. In fact, I use them both fairly often. So this is a palette I would technically get a lot of use out of, but I can just make my own. So I'm just going to do that. And what's this I see from Laura Geller Beauty? The Baked Gelato Swirl Illuminator. Ah, it's coming back. I was like, doesn't this exist? I used to have it in the shade Honey, Gilded Honey, because they're bringing that shade back, okay? But they have reformulated it to take community feedback into account so that it will also suit mature skin, which I think is good because that's the way my skin is going now. This shade, though, it looks different than I remember. I remember it being a little bit more yellow, and this looks a little bit more beige. So I don't know, this could be interesting. Laura Geller does some actually pretty good stuff. What did they say about the formulation now? It has a blend of skin-loving ingredients. It locks in moisture, supports collagen repair, protects against skin damage, promotes firmness and elasticity, and will prevent carjacking, and will take you on vacation to Europe after doing your dishes, making your bed, and cleaning your house. Which of those claims were real and which weren't? It is a long list of claims. That's a lot of skincare for one highlighter. That's the sort of thing you also only usually put here. Most people don't put highlighter all over their face, so it seems like a whole lot of skincare for a very small area of the face. I don't know. I'd be interested to swatch it though. I don't know if I'm interested in getting it though. I haven't been wearing powder highlight that often. I have been wearing it now that I've been using this palette this month because the Charlotte Tilbury powder highlighter I think is just like a really nice highlighter. It's soft, but it's also very shiny. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a soft focus shine. It's definitely more intense than what I'm used to nowadays, but there's something about it that's really good. And I'm wondering what this would be like in comparison. But I don't know that I'm wondering enough to get it. And apparently Hermès is coming out with a horsey palette. Who doesn't like a good horse in their compact? It's a face powder with 4 main colors and a 5th covering shade, capturing the intricate and delicate details of the horse. So when they say a covering shade, does that mean an overspray that's going to disappear once you use it a few times? Sounds like that. It has 5 sun-kissed colors and pinkish particles to bring brightness and warmth to the skin to create a healthy, natural glow with a soft, silky texture, light, airy feel, and long wear. So this sounds like it's going to be an overall finishing powder that's pinky and bronzy. Interesting. I would have to see this in use to understand it because honestly, I don't get it. First of all, I want to know how much of that is an overspray and is going to disappear almost immediately. And second of all, where would you want a bronzy, rosy face powder? Like, would you only put it on certain areas of your face? Is this a blush? Is it a bronzer? Is it a blonzer? Or is it an all-over face powder that's a finishing powder? I have been wanting to try Hermès for a long time because everybody that tries it seems to really like it, and I would eventually like to try it, but I'm not sure this is my way in. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at Amit Beauty Talk right now, and she posted that Burberry has released their Holiday 2025 palette, and it is a beige lover's dream. It looks like nothing. It looks like dirt-colored dirt, and it's exactly what I like. And I've always wanted to try Burberry. Am I going to get this? No, I'm going to be strong, but wow. The Eyeshadow Quad in Iconic Honey looks really nice, and I kind of really want it. Like, really, really want it. But I am going to click away. And now I'm on Chic Profile 4, and I'm looking at the fact that Tom Ford re-released the Daydream palette. This is one that I never had, and I also wasn't necessarily interested in getting because, once again, it's a little bit too cool-toned for me. If they re-released, I think it was the Denim palette, which was kind of like a bluish palette, those colors in them had something that leaned in a direction that made blue wearable for me, so I would get the denim one if it was the denim one. But the Daydream one isn't really speaking to me. So I have to say that's easy for me to say no to, but I also feel my resolve weakening. So I think I need to know when to call it quits. There are a bunch of releases from Dior and Chanel and Pat McGrath that I didn't talk about today, but the really colorful ones in there, like from Chanel and Pat McGrath, I either have the colors that I want already, or they're just not colors that I'm interested in, or if they're neutral leaning, I already own those. So I feel like it would be easier for me just not to look at them because some of them, just the way they're being packaged and presented, look so nice. But all I have to do is look in my own drawers, and I'm sure I will find things that are just as beautiful. Are there any holiday releases on your wish list? Have you ordered any of them? Maybe you have them already and you'd like to share your experience with them in the comments. If so, I love to hear about that stuff because I really enjoy living vicariously through you, even if I decide to anti-haul something. Or maybe you're still on the fence or you're trying to avoid temptation. Whatever the case, I would love to hear what you're thinking about any of these releases today. If you enjoy beauty content that tries to balance the enthusiasm of the makeup monster with logic and intention, then I hope that you'll like, comment, subscribe, and check out this video here. Thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.